Now that we have a better picture of how COVID has played out in the commercial real estate industry in 2020, can you give us a snapshot of the economy in the first quarter of 2021 and what the industry can expect going forward?
Well, the setup here for the economy is that obviously 2020 was a very tough year with the lockdowns. Stats came out just recently and said that growth rates overall for 2020 were the worst they've been since the Great Depression, since they kept keeping records. And that makes a lot of sense because so many parts of the economy were shut down, whether it was businesses, construction, consumers, even to some extent trade, with the borders being shut in the US. Fortunately, we did see some recovery happening in the fourth quarter of 2020. Growth was actually quite strong. And looking into the first quarter, we are seeing some recovery happening as well in other sectors. Construction is back on. We are seeing some business investment happening. One sector that still hasn't kind of recovered is obviously consumer spending. We also see businesses stockpiling inventories, and that's really helping to drive up economic growth. Rebuilding all these inventories. So I think, when we look at where we're heading in 2021, it's positive. We're not seeing the big, huge downswings that we saw during the initial lockdowns in last spring. We are seeing parts of the economy recovering. And as long as we continue to see vaccinations happening and lockdowns ending and some return back to people getting together, businesses reopening, I do think the economy will continue to recover. The key question for Canada, however, is vaccine distribution, as far as I'm concerned. We've been slower than the rest of the world, particularly the US. And as long as we don't get herd immunity to the extent that people are, most of the population is vaccinated, it's going to be a longer swing to coming out of this sort of thing. So my general view is that the recuperation phase for the economy may be still a little bit elongated. There's hopes that by the summer we'll start to see parts of the economy open up, some people going back to work, trade happening, borders opening up, but that's still a forecast, not a fact. If I was to, put my crystal ball and my forecasting hat on, I would say that, the end of this year may see a good snapback in growth, but the real growth will come back in 2022 as the economy starts to open up more fully because of vaccinations. That being said, the hole left behind by this pandemic is very deep. And so recovering all the lost economic growth that we've seen over 2020 will still take some time. So I don't see us getting back to trend for the economy till around mid-2022 in terms of recovering all the lost growth that we've seen. But once we get going and once we open up, absolutely there'll be this burst of strong growth. Consumers are sitting on a stockpile of cash they're waiting to spend. Businesses are going to start investing again, and those sort of things will start to help drive the economy. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time before we actually see, a real big recovery back to pre-pandemic levels.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that, Carl. I like the positive outlook. Hopefully we get the vaccines rolling, and like you said, get the recovery going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, economists right now are not looking at economic statistics, we're looking at health statistics. So really the onus right now is just simply on getting those vaccines rolling. And we're hearing some good news on that front. So fingers crossed that we go there.
We like to hear the good news. So again, thank you for doing this, and look forward to speaking again soon.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.